In this video, I'm going to show you how to fine-tune your mosaic in 5 easy steps. First, we need to set the mosaic dimension, which is how many photos there are horizontally and vertically. And to set it, you need to first figure out how large you're going to print it, because the mosaic dimension and the final print size will determine how large your small pictures are going to be. And you want to make sure that your small pictures are big enough for you to see. For example, let's suppose you're thinking about getting a 24 by 24 inch print, which is what this is. And if you were to set a mosaic dimension of 48 by 48, then your small pictures are going to be 0.5 by 0.5 inches, because you're dividing 24 inches by 48 tiles. And that's about as small as you can get before you start to feel that it's too small. So if you were to set a mosaic dimension of 72 by 72, then each of your small picture is going to be 0.34 by 0.34 inches. And that's going to be too small for you to see. And you're going to wish that your small pictures were a little bit bigger. So what you have to do here is figure out how large you're going to print it, and then pick a dimension that's going to give you small pictures that are between 0.5 by 0.5 inches and 1 by 1 inches. And if this mosaic is for an older person, I would lean towards the small pictures being 1 by 1 inches. And the mosaic dimension also determines how many pictures you can have in your mosaic. For example, for 48 by 48 mosaic dimension, you're going to have 2,304 small pictures, because 48 times 48 equals 2,304. So if you were to set a mosaic dimension of 72 by 72, you'll have 5,184 small pictures, because 72 times 72 equals 5,184. But it doesn't mean that you can only upload that many photos. You can actually upload as many photos as you want, 100,000 or more if you like. But your mosaic will only use as many photos as your mosaic dimension will allow. And it will use the best color matched photos first. And every single photo in your mosaic will be unique. And the photos that don't have good color matches will not be used in the mosaic, which will improve the overall look of your mosaic. And this is one of the things that we're going to do at the end to improve your mosaic, and that's to remove bad photos. The next thing we need to set is the colorization, which is how much the big picture is superimposed on top of the small pictures. You can set it anywhere from 0% to 100%. 0% means that small pictures are not colorized at all, and the big picture you see from the mosaic is purely based on the arrangement of the small pictures without any tricks. 100% means you only see the big picture, and it's only useful if you are trying to create a mosaic where only the logo is filled with pictures. In general, you don't want to exceed more than 60% colorization, because that would make your small pictures too faded. The lower the colorization, more clear and vivid your small pictures are going to be. So what you're trying to do here is set the colorization as low as possible while you can still see the big picture. Couple of things to note here is that you can usually set a lower colorization for a higher dimension mosaic, because there are more tiles, the big picture is easier to see, so you can colorize less. This is one of the advantages of higher dimension and larger print sizes. And the other thing to note here that leads us to the next step is the simplicity of the big picture. Some small pictures are easier to make a mosaic, so you can colorize less and still see the big picture. For example, a close-up picture of a face or two is a lot easier to make a mosaic of than a wide full-body shot of multiple people. And you can also crop your big picture to make it more simple so that you can colorize less. For example, you can often crop out background that's not important to make the subject bigger in the mosaic so it's easier to see. You can also brighten the photo and increase the contrast and color saturation prior to uploading using third-party software. Another thing you want to do is go through all the small photos and make sure all the crops look good. Mosaically will automatically detect faces to crop your photos into squares best it can, but it's not perfect. So you have to make sure all the crops look good, and if it's not, then crop or rotate it manually by clicking crop on top of the photo. Now suppose you have a good big picture and you set the mosaic dimension for the print size you want, and you lower the colorization as much as possible. Now you're looking over the mosaic And you might be thinking some photos are being used way too many times, while some other photos are only being used once. This is where even spread factor comes in. By default, photos that color match well are used more often as it helps to make the big picture. But this makes the experience of looking at the small pictures less interesting because you'll be seeing the same photos over and over again. What you can do is lower the even spread factor to limit the maximum number of times a photo can be repeated relative to how many times other photos have been repeated. And if you set it to 0, then all photos will be used as evenly as possible. This can have a negative effect on your mosaic, but this can be desirable in certain cases, where if you are making a mosaic of a school logo and you want to make sure that all the students are in the mosaic similar number of times. You don't want one student's photo to be used 100 times in the white background area, while another photo of another student who is wearing a bright red t-shirt to be used only once. Lastly, once you've done everything mentioned so far, you can start to work on the final step. And make sure you have everything else set properly before you start, because some of the work you do in this step will be lost if you decide to change the dimension or change the even spread factor later on. And what you do is to look at the mosaic carefully. Look at the overall mosaic, look at the faces, text if there are any, and look for things you don't like about the mosaic. Are there photos that are sticking out like a sore thumb? Do the eyes look weird? Does the smile look like a frown? Is the text not clear enough to see? Ask yourself these questions and look for every little thing you don't like about your mosaic. This is important because it will bother you and your loved ones later for a long time to come. You really have to care and pay attention to the details here. And this step is what will elevate your mosaic to the next level. If you see a photo that's sticking out like a sore thumb, click on it and click delete to remove it from the mosaic. If this is a photo that you really like and want to keep it, then consider cropping the picture in a way that keeps that photo but makes it less obstructive to the overall mosaic. For example, if the background of the photo is what's making it stick out, then crop out as much of the background as possible. If you're using an even spread factor of 0, then after removing all the photos that stick out, you'll need to set the even spread factor to something other than 0. And then set it back to 0 again in order to trigger reshuffling of all photos so that the photos will be repeated evenly again. If you see that the eyes or the smiles look weird, then click on the tile that looks weird and try replacing that photo with another photo. This can make the eyes and the smiles feel more natural. You can also colorize these tiles more so that the facial features are more clear. If you're having a hard time reading text in the big picture, then click on a tile over the text, then click Colorize Multiple, and then click all the tiles over the text, and then increase the colorization of all those tiles to make the text more clear. And lastly, ask for help via live chat on our site. I'm available to take a look at your mosaic and point out any issues that might have gone unnoticed and suggest ways for you to improve your mosaic. It's easy to make a mosaic, but it takes a little bit of know-how to make a great mosaic. I hope this video was helpful in learning some of the know-hows. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions or comments via live chat on our site or in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video.